was your week?
That week was nice because it ended on the Saturday with me getting to do something that I really wanted to do. And it involved a lot of physical activity. So I had a good time at
Okay.
the end of it. I was wet and muddy, but I had a good time.
Okay. And Mr. SGL, how was your week?
It was good. It was good. Not without the challenges, but it was good. It was
Okay.
good.
Okay. Okay. And Gillis, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How was your week?
My week was great. Yes, I would not complain.
Okay. All right. All right. So I know that for tonight's topic, which is recognizing opportunities. Do you think that you are able to recognize opportunities or not so much as yet?
Hmm. I think for some opportunities, I recognize, but for some reason that I'm yet to figure out, when those opportunities may come in the form of a personal space, a personal relationship, I tend to be a little slower in recognizing that this is really what is going on here. There's a possibility, there's a wind of interest. I tend to still operate on the same, what is it with, business like model. So it's only like after then you realize, or somebody tells you, this is what was going on. And then you say, I didn't know that at all. I didn't know that. My mind wasn't there at all. So in some things, I think I'm better able to, things like business, things that do with work, things that do with a skill or something like that. I think I recognize those opportunities much faster than in the personal space.
Okay. Anyone else? Do you think that you are able to recognize the opportunities when they present themselves?
I would say not always. It's a hit or miss. Sometimes they come and the timing preparation is right aligned and we take advantage, at least I take advantage of, but sometimes it's after they are gone, be like, okay, there was something there and it didn't go. And sometimes, you know, I take advantage of them, not advantage in the sense of bad, in terms of the timeliness, alignment was there and it just worked perfectly as if I had planned it. But sometimes it's not planned. So
Okay. But are you able to recognize the opportunities when they are presented in the forms that you do not like? Because remember, during the sessions during the week, we were told that opportunities, remember, they are part of the expansion process. And the expansion process usually comes with challenges because once you overcome the challenge, remember, that is where your expansion really comes in. That is where everything really tends to grow. But within that, are you able to see it from that perspective when you are presented with a challenge, or do you run and decide, I'm not feeling to deal with this right now? Let me go deal with something else. Do you see the challenge as an opportunity for your growth, or do you see it as a hindrance, as a issue, as a problem, as a burden? How do you see it?
Mhm.
I think nowadays I look at adversities or challenges more as an opportunity, even when I have yet to understand them.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things I'm trying to practice is the sense that there is always something to learn from experiences, to grow from. Either someone reveal themselves, their true selves, or the situation itself avails to some kind of growth or growth area or learning opportunities. So I'm not saying I always smile when adversities come, but more and more, I not necessarily smile or sad, but more accepting of circumstances and situation.
Okay, okay, understood. Anyone else?
I think for me, I still take a beat. And then when I have, I wouldn't say calm down, but when I've given it a little side eye, then I could say okay. And even when I cannot say okay, I can say, but you can make another choice. Try and remember your toolkit and pull something from the toolkit to use. But to say that right off the bat, in every single occasion, that I would say, oh, this is an opportunity. No. Sometimes I have to take a beat first, make a little count first, and then remember, everything is working for my good. So I would like to get to the point where automatically I just accept and move into that space that everything is working for my good. But for now, it's a work in progress.
Mhm.
I would say, good evening, everybody. I came late. Sorry. I would
Hello.
say, I blend the two, where the guy before was talking and where you were just say, where in the moment, what I try to do now is actually calm myself in the moment, so that I could remove the brain fog. And in brain fog, I will call it some type of anxiety or some kind of depression or some type of hindrance to be able to see the situation for what it is. So I try to calm myself in the moment. So I just take a couple deep breaths. I look at my surroundings and realize that there's really and truly nothing I can do but accept the situation. And only when I breathe and I calm down is when I could now have clarity as to, okay, cool. So this is why this happened, because this is in the pipeline. A
Yes.
happened because B is in the pipeline. Oh, okay, okay. All right, back to the line now. Everything good. you know? So I try to calm myself in that moment. Just before I try to think about the situation, I just try to go to some deep breaths really quick and just mellow it down so that I
Mhm.
could get some clarity
Mhm.
as to what's going on here.
Yeah. Because you see, growth usually comes, when growth does come, guys, the growth does come after the pain, the growth does come after the challenge, the growth does come to make you more resilient. But a lot of times we don't see it as that. And because we don't see it as that, what we tend to do is run in the next direction. And again, as was said last week, the thing that you're asking for, really on the other side of the challenge, you're not willing to overcome right now. And sometimes you're praying for this thing, you're asking for this thing, you're wishing for this thing, you're hoping for this thing. But when the opportunity presents itself to get this thing, but you don't know that it wrapped within that because it's looking at something else. But unless you really take the opportunity or take the challenge head on, then sometimes you never get the chance to really experience that thing. Because even when you look at your life, a lot of times, when you're faced with a challenge, you just be thinking, how am I going to? And then after you overcome it, and a lot of the times you overcome it and you say, that wasn't so bad. And so many times you overcome it, and yes, your eyelashes burn a little bit, your eyebrows burn off a little bit. You might be tattered and bruised, but at the end of the day, you came through whatever it was. And you see, that is the purpose of it. But I think for adults, especially in comparison to children, we really tend to shy away from challenges because of the pain involved. Like children, they experience something today. They could be riding a bike today, they fall off the bike, and tomorrow they'd be back on that bike because tomorrow is a new day. They're not looking back at what happened before. Tomorrow is a new day. This is a different opportunity. But for some reason, we always tend to live in whatever the negative experience was, and we carry it forward each and every day. And in doing so, once you carry that negative experience forward with you, you cannot see any future opportunities because all your opportunities defined by this one experience. And if you just sit right now and think about your life and think about how many things that you have been defining in the present moment based on something that happened yesterday, and not even yesterday, yesteryear. And every day you're bringing it forward, carrying it forward, carrying it forward, carrying it forward. Think about how many things, and you keep carrying whatever this thing is forward, and all it is doing is putting up a blockage in your current experiences. When really and truly it have no space or no place for it in the present moment. Because even when you think about carrying whatever it is forward, what purpose is it really serving? You might think that it is serving the purpose to protect you, but it is really a barrier that you're really setting up, so that the opportunities that you would really like to experience, you can't even experience them. So what you're really doing essentially is blocking yourself off from everything else, you know? But what are some of the things based on experience do you think that you have been utilizing in the present day to block yourself off from new opportunities?
Well, that would have to be things like bad experiences that you had,
Mm-hmm.
whether personal, financial, things that where you thought you wanted a particular outcome and that did not happen. And so you sort of gun shy when you see something that looks similar. Because since every day is, even if it's the same challenge coming back, it's coming back in a different form. But you see enough of it to say, oh, this looks familiar. And because it looks familiar, then you treat it as same. And you remember that you had that same experience. And you didn't like the result then, so you do not want to have the experience again. And that is where you lose out because you're not willing to try, you're not willing to go there. And the more it presents itself is the more you hold on to the memory of the last time and you really dig in your heels. I know that's for me in a particular instance, but I feel I'm justified to dig in my heels in this particular case. But yes, the blockages come like that.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? What have you been bringing forward or carrying with you every day and creating a blockage for yourself?
I think mine is a little bit of like what Catherine said, but I think my biggest thing is fear. Fear of change, fear of uncertainty. Instead of having that faith, and I've been through a lot, and knowing that things always work out the way they're supposed to work out. I think I'm still at that point where I want it to work out the way I want it to work out. And I want to see the guarantee that this is the way it's going to be.
Mhm.
Not leave it up to, okay, well, I trust, and I in my mind I envision it this way, and I surrender it and believe that it is going to work out that way. I just want the guarantee that yes, this is what I want, and know for certain that this is how it's going to work out. So, that on fear of uncertainty um, is something I'm experiencing right now. Is like, yes, 1 minute is like I want the change, and the next minute is like I'm holding on to parts of what I like in terms of what I have, right? So it's like you're going back and forth. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want the change, like it's for better and it's for this, but then the attachment is still there to the good part of what you are currently experiencing.
Mhm.
So it's like that constant battle, and I feel like if I don't know what I want, then definitely I'm not going to get what I need to get, and allowing it to if this is an opportunity or a door that's supposed to be opening up for me, I'm blocking myself from experiencing that. And I think knowing that is an additional stressor, because it's like, what you know, and you know how you're supposed to react, and you know what you're supposed to do. But the old habits, and right now it's that attachment is a big hindrance right now.
Yeah.
Holding on to the, okay, I like this, and I see possibility for growth here, and I see this in my head. I'm envisioning it, envisioning how it could be, and I want to be part of this thing that could be, but there's no guarantee that it is, or that's where I'm supposed to be. And instead of just being like, okay,
Mhm.
I know what I want. So even if I have to be in that space because I know what I want, that's what it's going to be. Versus if I have to go into another space for, betterment, for growth, for whatever, just being free to, allow that to be. So I think the fear and the attachment and the uncertainty is something that is like a big hindrance.
Because you see, based on experiences, so a lot of times we attach to the good experiences. And that is why when we see a challenge, we tend to run in the next direction because we don't want to really go through, the uncomfortable feeling or the pain or whatever it is. But there are even instances where what you thinking might happen might never even happen. So again, you're really blocking yourself off because sometimes you never really know. So let me give you an example. And you really have to try and remain neutral in instances. Do not get overwhelmed and just take everything one step at a time. So I had to go and collect some certificates from a ministry last week. So I applied for it the week before. It usually takes 5 days. So I went, I can't remember which morning it was. And as I opened the door, there was about 16,000 people inside there. Lo and behold, because we have in Trinidad right now where landlords have to register their properties. The deadline, of course, is the 30th. So, of course, all Trinidadians went last minute. That is what we do. So, when I opened that door, I was like, I just close it back. So, I had to go to another ministry close to there to collect something. Went there, got the form and stuff, and left. And before I left, the thought came, go back to the place. I said, no, 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 I don't want to go back. And you keep getting this persistent thought, go back to the place. So okay, I went back to the place, talked to the security, and the security looking at you like, well, you had to join the line. I want to tell you the line like a snake. And mind you, this is just to collect a form that was already paid for, because usually you just go collect, you sign, you leave. So I sat down there, and you're wondering what to do. And the thought came, stay right here. Now I was at the end of the line. So as the line moves up, remember you have to scoot over in the seat. So I moved in the seat, and then another thought came, what you move for? Go back to where you were sitting. So when I did, a lady came up to the counter and she was dealing with a man, and then I heard, go and ask her a question. So I said, ma'am, I came to collect, so I had the receipt. I came to collect this, but I just wanted to know if it's available. If it is, I will sit and wait. If it's not, I will come back another day. So of course she watching me a little annoyed. And then she said, okay, you could go ahead and have a seat. So I sat down, waiting. And then after about 5-10 minutes, it wasn't too long, she called and she said, you have your ID? Because she found it was done. Of course, I did not have my ID. It was in the car. So I said, I don't. I say, I have a picture. She was like, I am trying to help you. I said, I'm going for it. I'm going for it. When you're going outside now, rain is falling. So you have to run through the rain to get to the car, because where this place is, it doesn't have any close park. So you go to the car, get the ID, came back. So what would have taken me probably 2 hours, because of the amount of people it had in there, took like 20 minutes. And if I had gone with the notion of, oh my gosh, it have too much people in there, I not staying there. Of course, in that moment, you can't see the opportunity. You cannot see the opportunity. But that is why you really have to try to remain neutral. And we always encourage you all, that through whatever you might be experiencing, to stop and ask a question. What is the next step here in this moment? Remember, this experience is not tied to anything else. Yes, you might have had to wait in a line 5 years ago for 3 hours, but this is not that. Once you go there, you have your clear intention in your mind. My clear intention is, I really need to get these 2 certificates. And in doing so, you know what your intention is, and then follow the thought as they come. Sit right here, go up to the counter, just ask a question. And then the only thing I had to do after that was go and get your ID in the car. And then you sign for the forms and you left. But again, so many times you see, because of past experiences and how we attach to the past experiences, you cannot identify any opportunities in the present moment at all, because you're so tied to what once was, not recognizing that what once was no longer exists. It only exists to you because you keep, and remember when we discuss how long do emotions last for, how much seconds, and then when we hold on to it and we make the emotion into a feeling and we carry it with us all the times, and in doing so, you're really, really blocking yourself off of a lot of different things. Instead of just, as best as you could, remain neutral in the moment. Remain neutral in the moment. Ask a question. What happened 5 years ago does not define anything in this moment, does not even define this experience in this moment. And that is where you really have to take everything from, because you would recognize too how much your mindset influences your opportunity recognition. Because for a lot of people, once they brace that door, they would have turned right back around, which means that from now until month end, that is the amount of people that is going to have there, because landlords registering their businesses. So if you go back today, tomorrow until the 30th, you're going to meet the same amount of people. But if you have a clear intention and you allow the thoughts to flow in the moment, you would recognize, you really have to pause, take a breath, ask the question, and then see what comes. And you see in doing so, whereas some people would only see like, no, 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 like this is a block, this is a hindrance, other persons would see possibility. So for me, if I open a door the next time and I see a lot of people, I still go in and sit down right there. I go in and find somebody to ask a question to and see how they would be able to assist instead of just making up your mind because of what you interpret off at the top of your head based on a past experience. Because you know, off at the top of your head based on a past experience, if a lot of people in a place, this is going to take very long. You cannot determine that now. Right about wherever you are, you're standing up in a place, you take a few deep breaths, you ask the question. You might never know. You wait 5 minutes, somebody come down a step, somebody you used to work with somewhere, and they're able to assist you or help you out. But if you keep seeing, and again, remember, life reflects life. So if you see stress and anxiety and depression and annoyance, that is what you are going to get reflected back to you wherever you go, because that is what is coming from within you. And if that is what it is, I know a lot of people they find it very difficult to accept this, but it is really what it is. Because I would years gone by, I used to struggle with this a lot because I would go to a place just like how I went and it had a long line and I would get through it, whatever. And then sometimes you tell somebody else and they would go to the place and they have a totally different experience. So much so that it started to look as though I was not telling the truth. And then you're recognizing now, you know, with befitment and stuff, you're recognizing that life really does reflect life. So wherever you stand, you would see it reflected daily based on your interactions with other persons, based on your interactions during experiences, encounters, situations. So you really have to ensure one, that you know what you want. And then after you know what you want, remain in a neutral space to ask questions and allow the answers to flow. Sometimes the answers don't make any sense. Like when the thought came back, go back to that minute to that place. I was like, that not making any sense. Inside there have a lot of people, and I would have to wait very long. And remember, in the moment when the thought doesn't make any sense, still follow the thought because you never know how it's going to work out. Because I did not even think for a moment that I would be able to get help and not have to join that ridiculously long line. And are you able to recognize the connection between preparation and opportunity? And when you hear preparation, what does preparation really mean to you? Is it like you're preparing for an exam, you're preparing for a race, you're preparing for your goals, or is it that you are remaining present in the moment to receive what is required for you? What does your preparation look like?
I think preparation is being able to be neutral.
Yes, that would certainly be part of it.
Oh, you were frozen for a minute, so I wasn't sure if you're
No, no,
there.
no, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think and being able to just flow, being very.
All right, Lisa, your mic went off. I don't know if you touched it by
Right.
mistake.
Yeah, so being very open to accepting whatever decision or whatever direction I would say comes,
Mhm.
and just like going with the flow. Because if you go in with having a plan, expecting it to work out a certain way, that is not being prepared. That's just you wanting what you want.
Mm,
But with you wanting what you want, just kind of show that how unprepared you are.
yeah. Yeah, it really does show how unprepared you are because you're trying to control what the outcome is. Because again, it's really not about perfection, it's just about doing whatever is your best in the moment and just go with it. So my best in the moment was you have the receipt, go with the receipt. That's it. And a lot of times you overthink it and you want it to be perfect. And there was nothing perfect about that day. There was a lot of people in the place. Rain started to fall. I didn't get a park close to where the building was. There was nothing perfect about the day. And then after when I leaving, rain falling with the forms. So now I have to try to put the forms under um my cardigan so that when the forms get wet and all the lines start to blot, there was nothing perfect about that day. Absolutely nothing. But again, you just have to go with it, whatever the it is. And even the place that I went to before this ministry, usually you would just go because you have to pay to put some money on an account. You would just go pay. When you go now, you have to fill out a form. Where is the form? Of course, the form not in the same building. The form outside on the road by another building. Then you have to pay $2 to get it printed. Do I have cash? Of course not. Do they have an ATM? A links machine? No. So now you have to gather all the coins in your purse to pay this young lady $2. And again, there was nothing perfect about it. Absolutely nothing perfect about it. But at the end of the day, you have whatever it is that you require and you just go with it. Did I expect any of the detours and any? No, you didn't. All you know that in the moment, you did what is best. Whatever is your best. You did not do what is perfect. You did whatever was your best in the moment and you just go with it. You know? And you don't have to let the opportunity define all the other opportunities that would be coming your way. You really don't have to do that. Because again, the things that you keep stirring up in your mind based on past experiences, and this is something too that I have to intentionally stop yourself. And especially see when you're doing monotonous activities, you might be putting clothes to wash, you're standing up, you're washing wares, whatever it is. And some situations keep replaying and I know you know what I'm saying. They're replaying. When the situations start to replay, what happens? The emotions start to rise, and then what happens? The feelings that attach to that whole situation starts to rear its head again. And then what does that allow you to do? Go down the rabbit hole and get stuck in the rabbit hole for weeks. And that was happening to me this weekend. And I had to stop myself and ask myself, just now, why are you irritated? Because you are replaying a past experience. Why are you replaying a past experience? Why are you not focused on what your goals are in this moment? And just as I am talking to myself, I am telling you sometimes you have to talk yourself out of that space. Why are you sending yourself back down this rabbit hole? What is there to benefit from sending yourself back down in this rabbit hole? Because the longer you stay there, remember, as it was explained to us during the week, what happened? You send out negative energy, you get negative energy. You send out negative thoughts, you attract negative experiences. Why are you perpetually doing that to yourself over and over and over again? You have to talk to yourself. If you want to break the pattern, you have to talk to yourself to break the pattern. Because when you look at it in the long run, it is not worth it at all, you know. And let me even read a post that we did over the weekend talking about habits. Because you know what happens with habits? Habits travel with you through every season of life. So you see that same repetitive thought? If you allow it, it is going to carry you through how much ever years that you have. So if it is a negative habit, it is going to continue and it is going to multiply. Your daily practices become the embodiment of who you are. So if you get up every day and you're worrying, every day worry will be your portion. Whatever you refuse to regulate today transforms into the thing that disrupts your purpose tomorrow. Make the wise choice. And imagine something, and I know we would think of it, something as simple as a thought could disrupt your purpose. Imagine that. Something as simple as a consistent thought could disrupt your purpose in life. If it is a persistent negative thought, every day, if you are supposed to be pruning a tree and grooming a tree and ensuring that the tree have the right soil, it's like every day you're watering the tree with orange juice, or you're watering the tree with hand sanitizer, or think about it. Remember, at the end of the day, it is your garden. You are creating the life that you would like to experience. But based on your mindset, saying that your mindset does influence how you see the world, which then influences the opportunities and the possibilities, then what have you been creating? You really need to put more intention behind breaking the pattern. Just know that Friday is May the 1st. We are already in the 5th month of 2026. Friday is the 1st of May. We would blink and we would be going into 2027. And even as we are speaking about recognizing opportunities and in seeing what the opportunities are, you see, just as Lisa was explaining before in terms of functioning from a neutral space, because that is the only way to really overcome fear and hesitation and self doubt. Because once you stay in the space of living in the past or worried about the future, you would continue to have the fear, you would be hesitant, and you would continue to doubt yourself. But if you just start from wherever you are right now, a lot of times you're thinking that you're not equipped, you're not. And I was having this conversation with somebody because Saturday, we went and we did a 5K. And having a conversation with this person that was talking about their attire. And I was just looking at them because the thoughts that that person had about themselves is only them had that thought. I didn't have that thought about them. And a lot of times you're really being hard on yourself. And you know, as they say during the week, nobody else cares. Nobody else cares. That thought didn't even enter my mind about that person. So you recognize that what you burdening yourself with and the thoughts you're burdening yourself with about yourself, you alone thinking like that, you know. The rest of us focus on whatever we are focused on. So why even be so hard on yourself? For what purpose, really? Nobody else has those thoughts about you. It's only you have those thoughts about yourself. So imagine you might be walking around thinking that people think a particular way and people, they are totally unconcerned. They're not even aware. And you might be frustrating yourself and overthinking and you have a lot of hesitation even about meeting new people because what if they think this about me, or even self-doubt because of that. And some people not even concerned. And again, based on your mindset, you would recognize that you're really, 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 really holding back yourself. You, the only anchor in your life right now is you. Nothing else, nobody else holding you back but you. There is nobody else. But what are some of the strategies you think that you could utilize to act promptly when opportunities appear, instead of hesitating, or instead of being fearful, or not even instead of, in spite of, or regardless, even though you might be feeling the fear, you might be feeling the hesitation or the self doubt, to work through it, to act when you see the opportunities appear.
Good night.
Hello.
Hi. Sometimes you're preparing for opportunity,
Mhm.
but you have your own picture how this opportunity is going to be. So sometimes the opportunity presents itself and you ain't even realizes that.
Yes. Yes.
So you have to be very, very, what I should say, connected with yourself for you to know here what this is the opportunity. It ain't looking like what I had in my head, but this is the opportunity here. And regardless of if you have fear or if you have doubt, take the opportunity.
Yeah.
The fear and the doubt and whatever you have, it will have to go its way because opportunity presents itself and you was preparing yourself for it all the time.
Yeah.
So regardless of all the different feelings you might have, you still have to do what you have to do because you don't know if this opportunity going to come again.
Mhm.
And if it coming again, when it come in. So do what you have to do regardless of how you're feeling.
Yes. And just as Anastasia said, that is true. Sometimes the opportunity wrapped in a challenge that you have to overcome. And you know, when it wrapped like that, it wrapped in a brown paper bag. It don't have no bows. It don't have no gift bags. So it looking like, oh, I don't want this. I did not ask for this. But again, if you just decide, okay, I accept this is what life has presented, let me deal with it from a neutral space and take it from there. Instead of deciding, I'm not dealing with this, you throw it in the garbage, you totally ignore it, and then what you have been asking for, you wait 4 more years for the opportunity to come back. Yes, Anastasia, I'm seeing that your hand raised again.
And sometimes it might not be the opportunity, but it come in front of you. So sometimes you still have to take it up. It's not the opportunity, but it could be preparation for the opportunity. Probably you have a little bit more tweaking to do with yourself. So the
Exactly.
opportunity come looking like it, but
Yeah.
when you get in, you realize it is not it. But you still have to take that opportunity for what that opportunity presents itself to you for.
Yes. That is very, very, very true. And again, whatever life presents to you, it is for your growth, it is for your expansion. And a lot of times, the thing that you're asking for is on the other side of the challenge. But because you don't want to go through the challenge, you miss it. Because where does the growth usually comes from? Comfort situations or uncomfortable situations. The growth comes from working through uncomfortable situations, but yet when faced with the uncomfortable situations, what we usually do, you do like Adana, you open the door, you see all them people, you say, nah, I'm not going through this. I gone. Go on, go on. And mind you, how do you think I end up getting the far park? Because when I went the first time, I had a closer parking and I left. So now, when you come back, what you do, you make things harder for yourself. So now the park that you had that was closer, somebody else take it. So now you had to park further, rain falling, when it's time for you to leave. And you see a lot of times when you miss it, what happens really, it does get a bit more difficult. it does get a bit more difficult. Yes, Katrin, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
I was going to say, Anastasia, on the head. On the head. You hit that nail so plumb in the middle on the head. The nail can even shift. Because sometimes when you want something and you tell yourself, okay, I'm preparing for this, I'm open to, but then something looks like it and it presents itself most forcefully into this space. And it happened to me recently. And two things that I was able to get out of that was one, you have to know what you want. You have to know what you want. And the thought that came to me was this situation was like a multiple choice exam. You know that out of 4 questions, 2 are utterly useless, the 2 answers. So, but there's one answer that is like a comma different from the real thing, or a word different from the real thing, and you have to be able to so know what you want to recognize that this is not it. This is just a test that says, do you know what you want?
Yeah.
Can you recognize it in the daylight? Can you recognize it in the nighttime? Do you know what you want? And so it took me a bit, not a long time. And I sat with it and I said, this is really multiple choice. And this is not the opportunity. This is the test. Are you clear on what you want? Because some pieces were missing in that answer. And you recognize that, oh, this is the B option in the multiple choice. And if you pick this one because you didn't read it carefully and you didn't study that answer carefully, they always say you have to read back the sentence into the question to know which one is the perfect fit. And so sometimes the opportunity that comes, it comes to help you to get to where you want to go. It might not be the actual, what some people say, your last bus stop. It's just a sort of opportunity to refine your, make sure you're clear about what it is you want, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's money, whatever. You want to be clear that, because in my case, it was a question of, if you check carefully, you would see that if you picked this option, you would have settled. Something would be missing from what you want. And so you have to trust. And this is something that I am working on really, really well and really hard, because along the way, I lost my ability to trust people and trust situations, and more importantly, trust myself. So I'm working on building that back. And so where I would in the past say, well, if I don't grab this opportunity, one may not come again, or something like that. Now it's a question of, you have to give up the short term for the long term, but not in the way that I would have done it before, which would be rigid. And like a very wise person said to me one day, discipline is not, you have to be so tight. Discipline is, you're going down, you know where you're going. But along the way, you can stop, you smell a rose, you admire the rainbow, but you know where you're going. You don't sit down there at the side of the road. Just now, all of a sudden, you just sit down there, park up, looking for any other rainbow that might come. So I think the opportunities do teach you something, even when it's not the final destination. And that is what, and something too that I had to come to terms with in getting to that point was there were things you were hiding inside yourself you didn't want to admit. And to get to the other side, you have to admit, okay, this is what, and this is what. And okay, this is really what you have in your mind. This is how you feel about something. And don't try to gloss it over because they already said the only person you could fool is yourself. But then again, I think there is something wrong with that statement because I do not even think you could fool yourself. Because yourself is always there to tell you, are you talking foolishness? You just on your la la land. Stay there. I know the truth and I telling every cell in your body the truth. And so the opportunities, the strategies now for me would be to one, stop overthinking. I need to work on that some more. Stop overthinking and just be honest with yourself. Be really, really, really honest with yourself. If something affects you, at least stop and acknowledge it rather than just saying, well, and you just try to soldier on. Soldiering on is not good. It's not good at all for opportunity. And stop making up stories in your head. Stop making up things in your head because you're making them up from something in the past, and as you said, you're making them out of fear. You're making them out of Nancy stories, really Nancy stories. And so, stop making up things in your head. This is what it is. This is what it is. Don't even try to interpret what you're seeing because interpreting will bring it back to your Nancy story. At least in my case. And you all have heard me say how many relationships I just had in my head. Okay, and I dated the people and I done with the people and they didn't even know my name. Mm-hmm. True, true. True story.
So, would anyone else like to express what are some of these strategies that you could utilize when the opportunities appear? And as Catherine saying, you take it for what it is. Lisa was saying, you're functioning from a neutral space. And Catherine saying again as well, stop overthinking. Stop overthinking. Because sometimes, as Anastasia also expressed, it might look almost impossible, just as me when I opened that door. Because for going there every few months over how much ever years, I have never seen so many people there. Never. So a lot of times it might look a particular way, just as Anastasia said, it's not wrapped how you expect it to be wrapped. But because of that, don't let it be a hindrance. Because if it was a hindrance, probably if I had went back the next day, the person who was there to assist me would not have been there. It might have had way more people. And, of course, at the end of the month, companies have a lot of things to file. So then the amount of people it had might be double when you go back the next time. So, you really have to look at things from a neutral space. This is what it is. Okay, what is my next step in this moment? And you could be simply sitting down in wherever the space is and you're asking yourself those questions. And remember again, even if the thought that comes makes no sense, ask it again, ask again, ask again. And if you get the same thought, then yeah, that is what you have to do because I told you all, the thought keep coming back, go back to the first place. And I was like, what? And that didn't make any sense to me. Not knowing that at the end of the day, I would not have had to wait as long as everyone else did. So I hope that after tonight's session, you all could be at least more aware in terms of identifying opportunities and also be able to identify when you are going down the rabbit hole with your thoughts and really bring yourself back to the present moment. Remember the questions, the 3 questions. Where am I? What am I doing? And for the sake of intention, why am I doing it? So again, to bring yourself back to the present moment, if you find yourself going down the rabbit hole, where am I? I am in my room. What am I doing? I am on a Befitment live podcast 3. Why am I doing it? I am doing it for the edification of my soul, mind, and body. Do you understand? So again, you see, sometimes you might be feeling something, whatever the feeling is. Yes, whatever the feeling is attached to, you do not have to continue feeling that way. Every time you continue feeling that way is because you made the choice to continue feeling that way. Think about it. You are making a choice, because I had to sit and really ask myself over the weekend, Adana, why are you irritated? I was irritated because of a recurring thought of an experience that happened in the past. And then I had to ask myself, why are you doing this to yourself and sending yourself back down this rabbit hole? Make a different choice. Make a different choice. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to accomplish? Look out at life, what you want to experience. What is the next 5K coming up that you could sign up for? You know, it has so many different things that you could be thinking about in terms of new experiences, but a lot of times we trap ourselves in the thoughts and experiences of yesterday. It's already gone. And once you keep that reoccurring thought, all you're doing is in the unseen, you're creating more experiences. So every single place that you go to, you're experiencing the same thing, and you're wondering, why this happening to me? It is because this is what you are asking for based on the repetitive thoughts in your mind. So when you go out there and you get the same experience, the same unwanted experience over and over again, you could understand where it originated from. It originated from your thought pattern. So you really have to be intentional about breaking whatever the pattern is. And remember the difference between a problem and a challenge. The problem is what you create. It is repetitive. So you go out, you're having the same repetitive experiences with people, place, thing. Yes, that is a problem created by you. And in order to break the pattern, you have to really change your thoughts, change your mindset. And remember, challenges come, you learn from it, and they never return in that same form. They would return in another form, because we all have to encounter challenges to grow. But just remember the difference between whether you are experiencing a problem or if you are experiencing a challenge. So when you look out at your life, you would be able to identify the difference between the two. Also, whatever is presented to you, accept it and deal with it from a neutral space. And of course, we always say that, yes, this is the topic to introduce what is to come for this week. So if no one else has any more questions or anything else that they would like to discuss, let me let you know what is on the schedule for this week at the Balance Center. So today we discuss recognizing opportunities, and tomorrow, Tuesday the 28th, from 6, we would be looking at preparing yourself for opportunity. So we would be discussing define the value that attracts opportunities. And remember, we said before, are you present or are you continuously living in the past and bringing the past experiences with you in the present moment? And after that, from 7, we have our Fuel and Flex full body workout session. Then on Wednesday, the 29th of April, we have counseling and consultations from 10. And from 6, we would be looking at calculated risk and acting decisively. So, sometimes you might have a decision to make and you need to make the decision quickly. So this topic is certainly for you. So we would be looking at fear, uncertainty, and taking meaningful action. On Thursday, we have counseling and consultations from 10 again. And then from 6, we would be looking at multiplying the opportunities before you. So how to leverage one opportunity into many. Then from 7, we have our fuel and flex full body workout sessions. On Friday from 10, we have a private yoga and meditation session. Then from 3, we have free to be, where we release, relax, restore, and unwind. On Saturday, we have counseling and consultations from 11. And then from 3 p.m., we will be closed. And on Wednesday, the 29th, from 2 to 2:30 p.m., we have our Be at Work session. And the topic for this month is lead yourself, lead others. So, are you ready to empower your workforce with applied cognitive and physical conditioning to optimize workforce performance, improve measurable productivity outcomes, and strengthen well being? Then, Be at Work is certainly the session for you. And we look at increasing productivity and focus, preventing burnout, quality decision improvement. And of course, it is led by experts in each of these areas. So if this is something that you are interested in, you could register today and let us know that you would like to join. And of course, you are WhatsApping the number 336-1809 for more information. So, guys, remember, as the opportunities present themselves, do not run away from it. Embrace it and see where it goes, because you never know where the next opportunity might be taking you, because it might be taking you way further than you even expected. So remain open, remain neutral, and take each opportunity one breath at a time. Have a good night, everyone. See some of you tomorrow and see the rest of you next week, Monday. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.